English. And the reason for doing Katha and the discourse of Gurbani in English is because over the years that Sikhs have come into Britain, slowly we have started to forget Punjabi. And it's not also that we started to forget, it's what's happened is over the years, the younger generation that are being born in Britain, the first language for them, including myself as well, is becoming English. And it's not about blaming anybody today when we do a little bit of Katha, it's not about blame, it's always about looking into why certain things are happening within our qawm, within the Sikh Panth. And some gurdwaras that even Das goes to in phones sometimes to organise and arrange programs in Katha and English. You get some Gurdwara Sahibs and they'll say that we only have Katha in Punjabi. Now, when we look at Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj, Gurbani has so many different languages. So, Punjabi is the language, is the alphabet that we use, the Akshars, that's in Guru Granth Sahib Ji, and Gurmukhi is the script, the language of Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, all the way up to Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj. So in that one script of Gurmukhi, that's why when you learn Punjabi, then you can read Gurmukhi, you can read from Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj. And you slowly have to start to learn the different words because the languages that the Guru Maharaj uses is of Urdu, of Hindi, of Sanskrit. If you look at Jap Sahib, the second Bani, for those people that read Nityam daily, Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj's Hukam, Guru Sahib writes Jap Sahib in 7 different languages. So sometimes we look and we think just Punjabi and English. But Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj actually writes Jap Sahib. If you translate the words of Jap Sahib, you'll see that it's actually in 7 different languages. Now look at vast the Guru Sahib was when Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj travelled. We even have accounts to this day in our itihas and our history that Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj communicated and had a connection with the Pope of Rome. So look at that distance from where Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj was. And they never had planes, they never even had cars at that time in around 1489, just over 500 years ago. So when Maharaj travelled, they spoke in that Bhasha, that language of the people in that area, in that region. So if Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj today, if he was in India and he travelled to Britain, Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj would have spoke English. Because everybody that's in British, that is their language. If he went to Spain, he would have spoken Spanish. And we don't have great examples, because obviously Maharaj never came into Britain. But if you look at the regions and the countries that Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj did travel to, the countries that Guru Gobind Singh Ji did travel to, they did speak in that language of their people, in the language that they spoke. It wasn't just Punjabi. So you always have to train yourself to try and understand that no matter what language is being spoken, as long as you can understand it, or the majority of people can understand that language, then it is something that we can take away. When I was younger, I never used to understand much Punjabi until I got to around the age of 17, 18. And I used to come Gurdwara every single week without fail. Every Sunday I used to really enjoy going to the Gurdwara. I never understood anything that the Gyani said, because even at home, my mum and dad, they spoke a little bit of Punjabi as well. However, we always used to respond in English. And the reason for that was because we were never taught Punjabi. Even if you go to many Gurdwaras today, they don't actually teach you how to speak Punjabi. It's always something you have to pick up yourself. You might be able to go to a Punjabi class and learn Pura Era, and you can go through all the uppers, the alphabet, and then they'll tell you certain words, but they won't correct your sentences if you're saying things wrong. They won't teach you how to say a paragraph or how to have a conversation without making mistakes, because even in Punjabi language, there is plural and singular as well, there's masculine and feminine as well. And you have to get your vocabulary right. So, when you look at Gurbani, there's so many different languages And this should encourage us as Sikhs of the Guru that we should try and learn many languages, not just English and Punjabi, because even one day with Maharaj's Kripa, if Guru Sahib blesses you and you're blessed with the Amrit Ki Daat, then Maharaj says, Aap japo amra naam japao. It says in Gurban that when you start japing Naam, when you start connecting to Akal Purkh Waheguru, then you should encourage others, you should inspire others to jap Naam as well. Aap japo amra naam japao. You will automatically inspire people. When you have an effect, when you change yourself and you're inspired by Maharaj, and you're connecting, you're doing Simran, you're doing your bhakti, and you're becoming aware of everything that's going on within your life, and you start to obtain shanti, happiness, peace, internal peace that nobody can take away from you. You know, sometimes we go on a holiday, and when we go on that holiday, we feel like we're in bliss, in Anand. And the reason for that is because we come away from all our stresses. Most of us, we work every day, 5 days, 6 days a week, some people do, they take 1 day off. And what happens is every morning when you wake up, within 5 to 10 minutes, your mind starts to tell you, I have to do this job today, I have to go here, I have to do this, my manager's coming in, if I don't get here on time, my business is not going to work, who's going to open the door, who's going to make the sales? All these questions start to come within your mind. And your mind's a very useful thing, because we need it. However, in Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj, Maharaj says that this mind itself, this manmat, man means your mind and mat means intellect. Maharaj refers it to manmat, and there's a difference in Gurbani where it says gurmat. Gurmat is the Guru's intellect, so what the Guru's teaching us, which is God Himself. So this manmat, this mind, starts to tell you what has to be done, what responsibilities you have as an individual. And as you grow up, obviously, you know when you're a child, you don't have many responsibilities. Your mum and dad take care of everything. But when you reach a certain age, then you start to realize you've got responsibilities. You have to get dressed yourself, you have to tie your own dastar, you have to make your own money, you have to buy your own food, and then eventually you get onto Grist Jeevan and you go through that stage of marriage. Then even after marriage, you go through that stage of having a parvar, a family. And then life goes on and on and on until the end of all time. So what the Guru is trying to say is that there is a way out of this. Just like when you're on holiday, you come away from everything. So you pack your bags, whether you're married or you're single or you've got family and you take your family with you. You come away from all your stress, all the issues about going to work, having to be there on time, making sure your manager's happy, making sure you make the sales, making sure you do all that work, and all the other responsibilities of cooking, cleaning, looking after your house, paying your bills. When you take a holiday, you put all that aside and you come away on holiday into a nice, beautiful place in the world that's full of sun, sand, beaches, the sea, boat trips, so many different things we do when we go on holiday. Now, what happens is you start to enjoy yourself and you feel like that you're free. You've no longer got any worries or stress. However, that holiday only lasts for 1 to 2 weeks, sometimes 3 weeks if you go a little bit longer. And then you come back. When you come back, and if you live in the UK, then as we know it's great weather here all the time. You come back into that weather and you think, you know what, I had a good time on holiday, look at this. Got 5 months of winter now, where it's snowing, it's raining, it's cold, it's dark nights, and so on. So even sometimes our mood changes due to the weather. And Maharaj is saying that within the dunya, within the world, so having the bills, having the responsibilities, being married, having children, amongst all that, you can still be stress-free. You can still be like you're on that holiday abroad. So if you imagine picking the best destination that you've been to in your life and having that sukh, that anand, that peace, tranquility in that holiday, imagine having that right now at the present moment. Guru Nanak Dev Ji is telling us that we can have that. Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj says, Man tu jot swarup hai, apna mool pehchan. O my mind, man tu jot swarup hai. You are the light, the form of God. Man tu jot swarup hai, apna mool pehchan. Apna means yourself, mool means your root. The root, or it can be almost like the origin. So if we call it root and stick to one word, apna mool pehchan. Mool means root and pehchan means to recognize. So we go back to that first line. Man tu jot swarup hai. O my mind, you are the form of Vaheguru. Man tu jot swarup hai, apna mool pehchan. Guru Nanak Dev Ji is saying, recognize your root. So in Gurbani, Maharaj talks a lot about home, and that we've come as human beings into existence due to home. Home means your self-identity. If you break down that translation of hom and me, it means like I am, me, I, referring to oneself. And when we're referring to this home, now some people look at it and they say, well, this Dam, Guru, Logo, God, the bunch door, which most of us have probably heard of. Home is actually bigger than all of these bunch door, than these 5 T's that are taken and destroying our life of lust, anger, greed, attachment, and pride. Home is your self-existence. So the idea in Gurbani is the Guru doesn't want you to remember every single Shabad that's in Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj. The Guru doesn't want you to read all the different Banya every day and keep waking up and worrying about, I need to read this Banya, I need to do that Banya, I need to pray here, I need to do Bhakti here. The Guru gives us Soji, and that's the reason for having these Gurdwara sites. Guru Dware Hoi, Soji Paisi. That's what Maharaj says. That these Gurdwaras are here for us to obtain Soji. Soji means understanding. If we start to understand what the Guru wants us to do, then we can become one with the Guru. If you don't fully understand the message, then how can you try and reach that goal? Now Maharaj says, Sa Sa Simro Gobind. With each and every breath, Simro means to remember, Gobind means about with Vaheguru. Man antar ki utare chin. Within your mind, all your anxieties, all your worries will depart, they'll go away. But the condition is, when you look at Gurbani, right? Maharaj always in Shabas, for example, Satgur ki seva safal hai, Jai ko kare chit lai. So Maharaj says, sometimes we come to the Gurdwara side, and again, I'm not putting blame on anybody, but trying to help to understand. Satgur ki seva safal hai. Doing seva of Akal Purkh Vaheguru, of God, is safal, is fruitful. Satgur ki seva safal hai. Then Maharaj says, but Jai ko kare chit lai. If you put your consciousness, your chit means your consciousness. Jai ko kare chit lai. If you put your consciousness on God, then it's the seva is safal. So sometimes we go to Gurdwara side and it's being taught to us from a young age, seva, do seva. Of course, seva is a very beautiful thing. Selfless service will help take away your ego as well. But sometimes it can enhance your ego. Sometimes it can make you become more Bhakti as well. So when you do seva, the technique that Maharaj has given us is that when you go into the kitchen and you're going to do Pandey seva, so you're going to clean the dishes, or you're going to do Jore seva, you're going to clean people's shoes, you're going to pick them up and put them back into the shelves or the right area to make sure it's nice and tidy, because we're in the Gurdwara side. Maharaj is saying that your consciousness needs to be on God whilst you're doing that seva. And how to do that? That might be the next question we might ask. Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj says, Antar Gur Aradhana, Jeva Japur Now. Antar Gur Aradhana, deep within yourself. Antar means inside. You've got to remember, there's nothing outside. Sometimes we look for happiness outside. We look to fight and we look to worry about lust, anger, greed, attachment. We keep on saying, it's outside. I'm always getting attacked outside. When I look on the TV programs, There's lust there, there's bad videos there, there's desires there, there's growth, there's greed there. You can see in these videos, you can see in these comedies that you watch, these programs, and there's so much on anger, so much on greed, so much on more on attachment. If you look at the entertainment side, you'll see how advertisements are made and how they're done. And what happens is we start to get greed because an advertisement's come out. We bought the new iPhone 14 Pro Max that came out not long ago. And then the new one's released 3 months later, 6 months later, and then we think to ourselves, you know what, I had the best iPhone going, and now there's a new one out. So already a desire enters your mind to say that, you know what, maybe I could do with that better one. I might just sell this one off now. Because that one's got another item to it. It's been upgraded. It's got a better camera. And we all do it. And this is how entertainment, this is how advertisements work. But as the Guru Sikhs, Maharaj is telling us to become in control of lust, anger, greed, attachment and pride. Because these are what are leading us to dukkha. These things are leading us to pain. And in Guru Granth Sahib Ji, when we look at Maharaj's Bani and we look at the Shabads really carefully and start to read through them, you'll always notice the world is dukhi, that the world is in pain. Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj, when he was small, at the age of 4, he had 2 gold bangles. You can call them Bhai. And what Maharaj done, now his name was Gobind Rai, before he became Gobind Singh. Guru Gobind Singh became Guru Gobind Singh when he initiated the Panch Pyare with Amrit. And then Maharaj went on one knee himself and asked the Panch Pyare for Amrit. And they in return said to Guru Gobind Singh Ji, they said, Maharaj, we have given our steeds to have this Amrit. We gave our heads, because that's exactly what happened when Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj called for the Panch Pyare. One by one they came up onto the stage, and Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj actually decapitated their heads. And this is actually being taken from an eyewitness at that time that was a spy of Aurangzeb. And he became an Amritdhari after he actually renounced Islam and he became Guru Ka Sikh. And he has put this in our history. If you look at the eyewitness account through the Sakhi of what actually happened. But Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj, the Panch Pyare said to Maharaj that we gave our head, so meaning our life, for this Amrit ki Gath. What are you willing to give, Guru Sahib? And Maharaj said at that time, Sarban Sadami, that Maharaj says, I'm willing to give everything, all this parvar. And as we know today, that's why we call Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj Sarban Sadami. Because Maharaj gave his entire parvar. We look at the battles, we look at the Shahidiyah that happened in December not long ago, the Jar Sahib Jade, the Jali Mufti, the Panch Pyare, they all gave their lives for Sikhi, they all became Shaheed. Now going back to Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, and we were talking about Homme. In Japji Sahib, Maharaj talks a lot about Homme as well. Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj refers to it. Homme is your self-identity, so you might question, what is your self-identity? Now, when we grow up, so we're small, we're a child, our mother and father takes care of us, and slowly we become bigger and bigger. As you reach a certain age, even 4 or 5-year-old, I've got young children myself, they start to recognize themselves, and they're very particular when it comes to wearing clothes. At the age of 4 or 5-year-old, they start to say, Mummy, Daddy, I want to wear these clothes. You pick them up, some jogger set, or some jeans and a t-shirt, or a hoodie, or a top, and they'll say, Mom, Dad, I want to wear that one. They'll look in their own cupboard because they've become that clever. And they've started to identify themselves and identify things that are out there that they can pick and choose things. They're becoming conscious. As you get a little bit older, they start to say to you, Mummy, Daddy, I want to eat this food. So you decide what breakfast you want to make them as the mother or father. And the children will get to a certain age and they'll say that, I want to eat this. Because from around the age of 3, 4, children will start to tell you themselves that what they like and what they dislike. And then as you get a little bit older, when they go to school, they'll come back from school and they'll tell you that, Mummy or Daddy, they'll say that my teacher told me that I have to learn this. I'm starting to do join words together now and I'm doing sentences. And the teachers asked me to tell you that please look at this and help me get through it. Progress me. So as your children start to get older and older, they become more and more conscious. And their identity starts to build. Their identity already from only even 6 months, you call a child's name, whatever name you've given them. That child, boy or girl, they'll start to respond. From around the age of 6 months, they'll start to respond to that name that you give them. Because you're always calling them and they know that you're referring to them. As they get older and older, they become more and more and more conscious. Then they start to make choices in life. You teach them what's truth, what's false, what's lies, what's good, what stealing is, what's not stealing. Because children don't know. When they go to a shop, they'll pick up a sweet. And they'll walk out that shop with a sweet because they don't know that you have to go to the counter and you have to pay for it before you leave the store. Because they're children. But it's for parents to sakar and teach your children the correct way, that you must pay for this item before, otherwise it's known as stealing. You don't take something that doesn't belong to you without paying for it. As the children become more and more conscious, we make decisions of right and wrong. And as we get older, we start to create an identity. When you go to school, you know which school you go to, that's one identity. So somebody asks you which school you go to, you'll tell them. You go to a college, you'll tell them which college you go to. You'll say to your friend who asks you, what football team do you support? Straight away you'll tell them Manchester United, Liverpool, Glasgow. Whatever the team may be, you'll tell them straight away. They'll ask you, what's your occupation? You'll tell them, I'm a bus driver, I'm a taxi driver, I'm an accountant, I'm a lawyer, I'm a doctor. Straight away you'll start to give your identity of what you believe you may be. Now, that isn't your true identity. When you look at Gurbani, Maharaj refers to our identity as that we are the Jot Swarup, that we are the light of Akal Purkh, the light of God. That's our true identity. We don't have this other identity of I'm a doctor, I'm an accountant, I'm a lawyer. These are just temporary identities that we've labelled and become and got within this world that we're here in. Guru Amar Das Ji Maharaj says, Eo sansar tum dekhte, eo har ka roop hai. Eo sansar, this world, eo sansar tum dekhte. Dekhte means that you can see. Eo sansar tum dekhte, eo har ka roop hai. That this world is the form of Waheguru. You know, sometimes it's like when you look at fish in the sea. And as an analogy, imagine a fish saying to another fish, so where is all this water that everybody's talking about? Sometimes we're looking for God, we're looking for Waheguru. And I'm not referring to God, the one that's up there, and sometimes we imagine and we say, well, I'm thinking about God. And when you close your eyes, sometimes you see that person sitting in the heavens with a white beard. And you might think, well, that's how Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj looked. So, the pictures even that we have today of Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, that isn't an exact picture of Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj. A man called Sopa Singh actually, and as an artist, drew that picture of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. If you look at our own Ityas, our true history, the Janam Sakis of Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj tell us that Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj was that fit you could actually see his back muscles. Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj was of slim build. So nowhere like how the pictures look. When you look at them carefully, you can see the eyes are all droopy and a big stomach and a big person, big build. That doesn't tell us that in our own history. It tells us the complete opposite. And if you imagine, if Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj travelled, he was the second most travelled person in the entire world. The first person was, I believe it was a Buddhist monk that travelled a little bit more by foot than Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj. But Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj himself, alongside Bhai Mardana, is the second most travelled person in history to this day. Nobody else has walked as far as what Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj walked. Many different Sakya happened on the way when Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj travelled. I'll tell you something interesting. Koda Rakshish was a cannibal. Cannibal is somebody that eats human beings. You know, sometimes we have that conflict, Sikhs have it. Should we eat meat, should we not eat meat? And we fight about it. Who's right and who's wrong? Koda Rakshish went way beyond that. He used to never mind kill an animal or eat an animal. He used to eat human beings. And when Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj was in the jungles travelling with Bhai Mardana, as they were travelling, obviously they had no food on them, and they would rest at places and they would get food and people would serve them. And especially back in these days in India, fakirs, sadhus, mahapurushis, when they travelled, people would feed the sadhus because they were people of wise of God. When Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj said to Bhai Mardana that we don't have that long to go, Bhai Mardana said to Maharaj, he said, Guru Sahib, we haven't eaten for days. Our history tells us Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj never ate every day. Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj sometimes for months and months he never had to eat any food. And as we know, Guru Nanak Dev Ji wasn't just like we say sometimes, oh well, Jesus the prophet, Muhammad the prophet, and we refer to prophets. Guru Nanak Dev Ji wasn't a prophet. Guru Nanak Dev Ji was a Kalput Vaigu, was the form of God himself. Parmeshwar Eko Jan. Gur Parmeshwar Eko Jan. The Guru Parmeshwar Akalput Vaigu is one and the same. Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj was God on earth. And Bhai Mardana said to Guru Nanak Dev Ji, he said, Guruji, he says, we haven't eaten for days and days. And he says, I'm really, really hungry. He says, I need food. And he says, I can't stay with you anymore. Guru Nanak Dev Ji said to him, he said, Mardana, please wait. We're not that far away from our destination. But Bhai Mardana says, Maharaj, he says, I have to go, I have to find food to eat. So Guru Nanak Dev Ji let Bhai Mardana go, and Bhai Bala was with Guru Nanak Dev Ji. And as Guru Nanak Dev Ji and Bhai Bala carried on, Bhai Mardana got caught in a trap set up by Koda Rakshish, the cannibal. And when he trapped Bhai Mardana, he captured him and he took him into his place. And he started to boil the oil, and he put Bhai Mardana inside it in the cauldron and started to boil him. Bhai Mardana, what do? When we're upset or when we're worried, we start to call out, Waigu, Maharaj, God save us, save us. And what did Bhai Mardana do? He closed his eyes and he started saying, Guru Nanak, save me, Guru Nanak, save me. He started to call out to Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj to save him. And Bhai Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj obviously being Antarjami. Antarjami means the all-knower. Guru Nanak Dev Ji knows what's in each and every one of our hearts. And Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj knew Bhai Mardana was calling him. He wasn't in that distance where he could hear him. If one person was sitting here and another down the hall, he was miles away in another place. But he could hear Bhai Mardana calling him. And as they were going in one direction, Guru Nanak Dev Ji changed the direction and he said, Bhai Bala, let's go this way. And they started to go another direction. And they got to where they were. There was a knock on the door, and Koda Rakshish, he started to think, who's this at the door? And he never opened it. He carried on waiting for his food for Bhai Mardana to be boiled alive so he could eat him. Guru Nanak Dev Ji entered and started to open the door himself. As the door opened, Koda Rakshish seen two more human beings, Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj and Bhai Bala. And he says, wow, I'm going to get them as well. So his eyes became greedy, more and more greedy. His eyes opened up. And he thought, today I'm going to have a big feast. I'm going to kill all these people and I'm going to eat all of them. And he ran towards the door. And he ran towards Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj. And just as he got closer and closer to Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, his eyes caught the vision of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, and Guru Nanak Dev Ji was looking directly into his eyes. And Koda Rakshish fell down onto the ground. When he fell down onto the ground, he put his matha on the floor and bowed down to Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, as Koda Rakshish stayed on the ground, Guru Nanak Dev Ji looked towards the fire that Bhai Mardana was being boiled alive in, and he turned off the fire. just by looking at it with his glaze. And Katha Vichaar, from that day, he stopped killing human beings. So he became like a sadhu, he became spiritually enlightened. If you look at the prophets of the world, they're not able, that have come on earth to this day, they weren't able to enlighten somebody and make them realize God. Guru Nanak Dev Ji, Gur Prasad Nanak Man Jago, says the Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj, that through the grace of the Guru Nanak Maharaj himself could inspire somebody through Akal Purakh Waheguru, through Maharaj's grace, that they'll become enlightened. And that's exactly what Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj done to Katha Vichaar. He took out his greed of hunger, of desires, and he became spiritually enlightened, Katha Vichaar. So a humble benti that we do a little bit of Simran, and if there's anybody in the Sangat that can do tabla, a humble benti to come on stage. So we'll sit in remembrance today as we're remembering Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj and his message. It's very important that we do bhakti. And one thing I'll say before we do a little bit of Simran in remembrance of Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, that every time you come to the Gurdwara Sahib, you are truly blessed. Ben Bhaga Sat Samana Labe, Ben Sangat Mel Koi Jai. Without great fortune, Ben Bhaga Sat Samana Labe. Sat Sang means the true congregation. So a congregation that we're sitting in today, a community, Maharaj says, Sat Samana Labe. Ben Bhaga, without great destiny, great fortune, you won't find that. And sitting in Sangat is all about Nam Japana. It's connecting to that oneness. It's about realization. It's looking at Gurbani. It's not about, if you go to many Gurdwaras now, the thing that's going on, and I've seen it with my own eyes. I've been to the Gurdwara for many, many years, and I've travelled to many different Gurdwaras over the last 20 years around the UK. If you go to most Divans on a Sunday, it started with Sukhmani Sahib Path, followed by Kirtan. Not every Gurdwara does Katha, but the majority do. And then there's a Das, Hukamnama, we Vada, Prasad, and then Langar, and we go home. Now, there's nothing wrong with that schedule if we understand the Sukhmani Sahib Bani, if we understand the Shabbats, if we understand the Hukamnama, then every week you can obtain so much peace from the Guru, you can obtain so much understanding in Soji. Just if we even understand that few lines of Sukhmani Sahib Path, you can have Sukh in your life. Some people say, I've been reading Japji Sahib for 20, 30 years of my life, and I've still not got Sukh. I've been listening to Sukhmani Sahib Path week after week after week for years and years, but yet I've still not got Sukh. To have one Sukh, you have to simmer. And Maharaj says that within that Sukhmani Sahib Bani, Simmaro, Simmara, Simmara, Sukha Pavo, Kal Kales, Tan Mayan Pavo. That Kal Kales, that anxieties, the worries will disappear. Matavo, they'll vanish. But the condition again, Maharaj says, is Simmaro, Simmara, Simmara. Then Sukha Pavo. That if you remember Akal Purakh. And now when I say remember, I don't always just mean that you have to go home or sit in a Gurdwara and say, why do, or do Mool Mantra. There's so many different ways. Remember in Gurbani means to do vichar. For example, today we're talking about the Guru, we're talking about Waheguru, we're remembering God, we're sitting in God's remembrance in the presence of Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj and having Vartak Darshan of Guru Sahib. Guru Granth Sahib Ji is a form of Akal Purakh Waheguru as well. And Akal Purakh is everywhere within the world. There isn't a space that doesn't have God within it. That energy is everywhere. Sabgo binda hai, sabgo binda hai, go binda binda nahi koi. There isn't anything apart from God. So, vichar, when you discourse Gurbani, if you're talking to somebody about Akal Purakh Waheguru, about God, you're trying to understand Gurbani, that's the same as remembering God. Katha is like a mother. Sometimes we forget that. And I do encourage that you listen to more and more Katha so you have the understanding to try and follow the Guru. Kirtan, Kali Yuga mein Kirtan Pardana. Maharaj is called Kirtan the Pardhan. In the Gurdwara side we say, sometimes we look and say, who's the Pardhan? Because we want to speak to the head of the Gurdwara. Maharaj is saying the Kirtan is the Pardhan. So in Kali Yuga, Kirtan is Pardhan. Maharaj says that this will prevail and be your best technique to remember God, is doing Kirtan. So Katha, Kirtan, Tadi Gatha, if you have Kavishari, so many different ways. If you do Shastra Vidya, you know even the Sipai side of Sikhi is so important that we forget. Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji Maharaj started the first army of the Sikhs. Sometimes we confuse that and we say Sarakuch started when Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj gave us a kirpan, gave us Amrit. Sikhs started to carry kirpans from the time of Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji Maharaj after when Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj gave Shahidi. When the Mughals started to try and convert Maharaj and he sat on the Takti Kavi, they tried to boil Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj alive. They poured Takti Rita, sand, boiling hot sand upon Maharaj's Sarir. Yet Maharaj never converted to Islam. But what happened in this reaction is that Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji Maharaj became the 6th Guru of the Sikhs at the age of 11, and he started to say to Sikhs, a turning point in history, that when you come to me and you give, if you present something, because people always used to present something to the Guru, that's why we put a little bit of Maya. It's not that we're helping run the Gurdwara. Sometimes we think, I'll put my pound in or my 10 pence or 5 pound I'll give today. We're not helping run the Gurdwara. The Gurdwara side runs on those heads that want to offer themselves to the Guru. Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji Maharaj said to the Sikhs, bring your youth, so the youth meaning the young, and bring shastras. Shastras are weapons. Gaur Savar is in our hukams that we should learn to do horse riding. Maharaj said, bring horses, bring youth, bring weapons. And everybody started to think, why is Maharaj wanting this? This is something different. So obviously it was something very different because the previous Gurus had never said this before. But in the form of Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji Maharaj, the 6th Guru, Maharaj himself created a Akal Purik, which the army of God, Akal Sena. And Maharaj formed that first army of the Khalsa, which it wasn't known as the Khalsa, but it was known as the Akal Sena. And then from there, the battles took place from Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji Maharaj's time all the way through up to Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj's Sama. And then Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj himself had many battles. So a humble Benti, we haven't got that long left. If we do a little bit of Simran together. And the Benti, as we said, Antar Gura Aradhana, Jeva Jap Gurnao, Netri Satgur Bekana, Sravani Sanana Gurnao. And what that means is Maharaj is saying, Guru Arjan Dev Ji, Antar Gura Aradhana, deep within yourself, Gura Aradhana, maybe Aradhana means to evoke within yourself that meditation, that remembrance of Akal Purik. Antar Gur Aradhana, Jeva Jap Gurnao, Jeva with your tongue, Jap Gurnao, say the name of God. Netri Satgur Bekana, with your eyes, Satgur Bekana, then you'll be able to see God when you do this. So in Gurbani, you have to do something to achieve something. All the time, if you look at all the Shabbats in Maharaj's Gurbani and Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj, Maharaj will say, do this and you will obtain this. You won't be able to do anything by sitting and doing nothing. We always sit in front of the TV. I used to do it as well, but I don't watch that much now. Because you see so much corruption within the world, and you see how much corruption there is on TV as well. Even the programs have become more and more corrupted. There's more and more lust within each comedy, with each soap that you watch is only becoming worse, and the Kaljuk Sama is prevailing more and more. But don't get that profession that you wish to get, but do Simran at the same time. Remember Akal Purik as much as possible. Satnam, 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 Satnam 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 So humble baby. When I was younger, around the age of 14, I used to worry when it came to singing. And in my Gurdwara, I had a big family as I used to live in Scotland in Edinburgh. Especially my Daya's family. They used to always say that when there was a birthday, that you have to sing a song. So whenever there used to be one of the children's birthdays, all of us cousins would get together and we would go around somebody's house. And even up to the age of 14, 15, I used to get so anxious and so worried that I used to start crying. And all the children would look at me and say, why is he crying? Why is he getting so upset? And even when I used to go to school and we had to do an English talk and present it to the class in high school, I used to do the same thing there, but I wouldn't cry. I would get so nervous that my face would go all red. And one thing I learned was, even when I sat on the stage for the first time in Scotland, a long time ago, about 13 years ago I believe, that was the first time I'd done Katha on stage. Even all my family, all my Tachi, Daya, and there was 6 in total, and cousins, they got very shocked when they seen me. And even my father questioned me after to say, how did you manage to do that? Because I sat and sang a Shabbat on the stage in front of about 150 people. And I said to him, I'm not sure how I've done it. But one thing I realised that is when you come on this path, the Guru himself will take you with his hands, and Maharaj himself will install that fearlessness. It says in Gurbani, Nirapal Jape Sagalapal Mite. If you jump at that fearless name, that fearless name of God, then you become fearless as well. And that's the only way that you can build this confidence. When you start to jump name, even from a young age, and I do encourage the children as well, that you'll become fearless. When you start to do this Waheguru mantra, when you start to do sit and coach and do Mool mantra. I used to do one Mool mantra a day when I was around the age of 12. And I was a Munna then, I used to have cut hair. And I used to say in my ardas, when I used to do that Mool mantra, I used to say, Guru Nanak, make me a Sikh. That's all I used to say. I used to do one Mool mantra part when I used to go to bed. And that was because my mum taught me. And she said, you should read Gurbani before you sleep. But I said, nobody's ever taught me. And with that one Mool mantra, with that Shraddha, we're starting to forget, we're starting to not have faith in the Guru. I used to say, Guru Nanak, make me a Sikh. I never knew what a Sikh was. I always used to think when I went to the Gurdwara side, a Sikh was somebody that tied a dasar on their head. And obviously I never used to have a dasar when I was younger. But my dad had one. And alongside that was my brothers, my chachi, and even the oldest, they had it as well. So slowly I took steps into Sikhi as I got older and said, this is the way I want to be, this is the path I wish to follow. And that was only through listening to Katha. One Katha Vichaar came to Scotland by Sham Singh, that's from the UK. And he done Katha in English on Reiki. And when he done that Katha, I was only about 17 years old. I understood everything he said, but I questioned everything he said. When he said people like Bhai were sawn in half, and they still read the T5, they still completed it even when their body was in 2 pieces. He said Baba Deep Singh Ji fought sea spinner without his head. He carried on fighting in the battle for 2.5 miles. I said no. When he said Bhai Mani Singh Ji was cut into pieces and he still read Gurbani, I started to get confused and I said to myself, these things can't be true. But then when I started to read history, when I started to read and do my own research and looked at books, looked at the internet, looked at many different sources, looked at people that had went to India and had seen these places, then I started to realize that there is some kind of truth in this. And even if you don't believe these things to be true, then the baby that I do, and the reason for myself calling the charity that I've started to set up now called Sikh Experience, is because when you have the experience of a Sikh, then you realize that you don't believe in God, but you can say to people that you know God exists because you can feel Him inside you. If you ever sit in a room that's just full of darkness with no light and sham and close your eyes without any entertainment, without any distractions, just even for 10 minutes, try it in your life, you'll feel that there's something inside you. And the only thing that will go on in your mind is thoughts. And then you'll even start to question, where are these thoughts coming from? Where is the origin of these thoughts? Then you start to realize, because even when you do Simran, your Atma inside you, that jot, that light of Vaheguru inside, you can start to do Simran, and when you obtain that shantiness inside you, you can stop doing the Simran, and the Simran will carry on. Because Amrit is already inside us. Even if you haven't taken Khande Bhate the Amrit, Maharaj still refers in Gurbani that Amrit Bani Har Har Devi, that Gurbani is Amrit. Amrit is already inside us as well. Vaho Vaho Bani Nirankar hai, is Devar Avar na koi. That Gurbani, Bani, Guru, Guru hai Bani. That the Guru is Bani and the Bani is Guru. So we have to realize that like Guru Maharaj came onto this earth in the form of a Kalpur Vaheguru, and Maharaj left us with Gurbani, the word of God. And I do a baby that you join in because I know not many people are singing, I have to hear myself. But if we can't sing in the Guru's Darbar in front of the presence of Guru Granth Sahib Maharaj, sitting in front of our Guru, sitting with the Sangat, then how are we going to manage to do it at home? How can we do it when we're out in the dunya? Maharaj says, Sa Sa Sivlo Gobind, with each and every breath, try and remember Gobind, the Kalpur Vaheguru. So a humble baby that we find joining just for a few minutes, and then we'll do a long side. And please try and close your eyes if you can. And I can guarantee you, the building won't fall down, nobody will steal your money, nothing else will happen. But you might be able to obtain that so just within a few minutes. Some people do bhakti for hours and hours, and they can't get it. A Jamal is written in Guru Granth Sahib Maharaj. He remembered God on his last breath before death, and he was saved. But it's very difficult how he managed to do that, but he did, and it tells us in Gurbani, a Jamal Bhakti Maharaj refers to. He was a Bhakti, and he was still saved. Gadaka was a Vaisva, Gadaka, that translates to being prostitute, and she was saved. Koda Rakshas, a cannibal that ate human beings that we went over that Saki, he was saved by Guru Nanak. We can be saved by Guru Nanak. Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj's doors are open to us all the time. With every breath, Maharaj's doors are open, but we just have to open our door. We have to open our heart to the Guru and sing as much as we can. And like we said before, last 20, Japji Sai Bani, Guru Nanak Dev Ji says, Gaviye, Suniye. So Gaviye means sing, Suniye means to listen, Man Rakhiye Pao. Within your mind, keep faith, keep love. Man Rakhiye Pao. Then what will happen? Dukha Parha, your pains will leave, Sukha Legai, and peace, happiness will come within your life. Just by singing, the Guru says, and listening. When you sing, it's not about listening to the truth, it's about listening to yourself, to hear what the Guru is saying, and let that Gurbani go inside yourself. When you come into the Gurdwara, it's the time sometimes to let yourself go. Sometimes we attend parties, we go to weddings, we go to functions, we go to occasions, and we say, you know what, I want to have a good time. Today I want to let myself go. And we dress up, we get ready, and then we enjoy the entertainment of what's there to offer. Sometimes when you come to the Gurdwara, you should close your eyes and listen to the Guru and say, you know what, Maharaj, today I'm going to let you come inside me. Let's see what I can get, let's see what I can obtain. Because this is what we're truly here for in the Gurdwara, Seva and Simran. There isn't anything else that we come to the Gurdwara side for. Yes, we pay a little bit of money, we eat langar. However, the langar is being created for the poor. And as we know, most of us today, we're not poor. Within the Sikh form, we're probably one of the richest forms within the world. And within each and every Gurdwara side, we've probably got more money than we can count. But we are here for Simran and Seva. The langar is there that Maharaj created, and we should invite as much food as possible that we can so we can feed them. So just a humble wait, just a couple of minutes on the Simran as we go into Smakti alongside, and then there'll be a glass of open mouth.
Hare Guru, Hare Guru, Hare Guru, Hare
When you're doing Simran, Maharaj tells us that you start to obtain so many different things within your life. You'll notice even if you start from today, or if you've already started, we're all on that journey to Akal Purukh Waheguru. And that journey is personally for everybody. When you do Simran, one thing to remember is that have no expectation. So, you know, for example, we do so many things within our life and we have an expectation. Now, an expectation is, today I'm going to go to the Gurdwara side for 11 a.m. Now, if other people are expecting you to be there at 11 a.m. because you're due to do seva, if you turn up a little bit late and it goes past 11 a.m. and it goes to 5 past 11, they'll look at the clock at 11 and say, you know what, he's late. I was expecting him to be here at 11 a.m. His seva started then. Just by you being at 5 minutes late, they might not be so angry. They might not get so annoyed. If you turn up at 11:30, 30 minutes late, now they're going to be very annoyed because they're going to say his seva started at 11 a.m. and he's turned up here 30 minutes late. If that same person doesn't turn up, then you'll be even more and more annoyed, and they'll get a phone call, or you maybe go and see them and find out why they never turned up. Now, that's called an expectation, that somebody has set something in stone and they want you to be there at that time. Now, when we do Simran, don't have an expectation that I'm trying to get God, I'm trying to achieve something. Because that very expectation is you're going wrong from the beginning. Ik Oangar. Ik is a number that's written in Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj, that Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj gave. There is only but God. Remember the lines of Gurbani, Sab ko bind hai, go bind nahi koi. Bhagavad Ravi Das says Maharaj, in Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj, that there's either you or there's God. So if there is a you, there is no God. And if there is God, there is no you. So only one person can sit on the platform. So the idea of to do Simran is to erase our self-identity, to remember Akal Purukh and not have that expectation, you know what, I'm remembering God. Not have that expectation when you've got your eyes closed and you're saying why, Guru, or you're doing Mool Mantra, or you're singing the Shabad, whatever you may be doing to try and connect and praise that one and remember that one, that you don't have the expectation that eventually God is going to come, because God is already there. As long as you're alive, that energy is already inside you. It resonates everywhere amongst the world. The Guru isn't telling us and teaching us as Sikhs that God is separate from us. God is inside us, each and every one of us, and He is everywhere within the world. And Gurbani just explains that in so many different ways. Japji Sahib explains the entire Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj. That's why Japji Sahib is Brahm Gyan, the wisdom of the enlightened one. Jap Sahib is an explanation of Dasam Granth Sahib Ji from Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj Badshah's Bani. And two very important Banis, and I'll leave you with this, that we try and recite. Guru Nanak Dev Ji used to say, when people used to say to Guru Nanak Dev Ji, how do we remember you? Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj says, read Japji Sahib. It's It's very important that we do Waidu Simran, we do more Mantra Simran throughout the day. However, reading Japji Sahib Bani is a must for every Sikh. Guru Gobind Singh Ji, people used to say to Maharaj, how do we remember you? When Maharaj used to come into the town, the city, and bless them, do Vichaar, and show them Qurbani. People, before Maharaj left, Maharaj would say that if you want to remember me, read Jap Sahib. And don't think that, you know what, you've only learned Japji Sahib, how do I get to Jap Sahib? Yeah, it's a little bit more difficult. But if you keep focusing, you can read it. When I started to read it, and I was blessed with Amrit at the age of 19, I used to read all my Nickname in Romanized. But then over a few years, I started to learn Punjabi Gurmukhi, and it's not actually difficult to learn. Even if you look at my channel now, I actually teach Punjabi crash courses as well, because it is actually quite an easy language to learn. And within 12 weeks, if you're Gurdwara Sahib or individually you want to sign up to something, you can learn the basics of Punjabi within 12 weeks. Sometimes people go Gurdwara for 2, 3, 4 years and they still can't read from Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj. When I taught in Telford, within 9-10 months, I had people from Ura, from the beginning, to sit on Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj to be able to read a Hukamnama within 10 months. Because the Bani isn't that difficult, it's just we aren't making that little bit of effort. And the students that used to come to Gurdwara Sahib to learn, they only used to learn 1 hour a week. And they used to do a little bit at home. That's all it took. And even within that 9 months, we probably missed several weeks as well in between, due to doing other things and responsibilities as well. So we'll do it on one side, and I do ask for forgiveness if I've gone over time. Sometimes when you do Katha, you start to even inspire yourself, and sometimes I look back at my videos and think, how did I say that? Because I always stand in front of Maharaj and say, Guru Sahib, whatever you wish to bless the Sangha with, through Maharaj, through yourself, bless me and let them hear what you want them to hear. Because when we listen to Katha, sometimes we think the person that sat on stage, he's telling us everything, he's giving his knowledge. But we want to refrain from Manmat and we want to go towards Gurmat. So Manmat again was our own intellect, and we want to go towards Gurmat, the Guru's wisdom and what the Guru has given us. And through his Sikhs, Maharaj blesses us that we can ujar Gurbani, we can try and help understand what we've learned towards the Sangha. So humble benti that we all join in Anand Sahib. If you wish to donate to Sikh Experience, you can. There's many different ways through our Facebook channel. You can look at TikTok. As I've only newly started, I left coming away from a support working job and a few different businesses that I started myself. And I left that due to do Punjab because I felt that there was a big need within the Sikh, within the Qawm and our community, that Punjab is a must and needed, and that message of Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj to spread amongst the world. However, if you look even within our Qawm now, there isn't many institutions where you can even go to and be paid as a salary. So you have to actually try and figure out yourself. And one way I figured out was, if I travel to Gurdwara Sahib, I might go to 3 or 4 Gurdwaras in a month, but yet it still doesn't actually reach much. You can only make a few £100. But if you look at your job, what you earn, most people earn a few £1,000 a month. So for a patriotic, it is actually very difficult to figure out. But this is why a few people now, even including Basics of City, have set up a Pratyar fund where Sikhs around the world can help Sikhs do their own Pratyar. Because we try not rely on grants or from governments or from whatever country we live in. We try and rely amongst our own Qawm, amongst our own people as Sikhs, so we can come together and try and help one another to do this Pratyar of Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj. Anand Sahib Ramkali Mehla Pija Anand Kumkar Satgur Prasad Anand Piya Meri Mai Sat Guru Mein Paya Satgur Paya Sehk Sikhi Manvatiya Jaya Raj Ratan Parivar Pariya Satgur Gavnaya Pagdot Kavo Hare Tera Man Jiv Saya Nanak Nand Hoa Satguru Mein Paya Man Meriya Tu Sada Rohan Kare Asna Virto ਬੋਲੇ ਸੋ ਨਿਹਾਲ।
ਸਤਿ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ।
ਖੁਦਾ ਦਾ ਬਖਸ਼ਣਾ ਸਾਰੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਕੋ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ